Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Sound TV. Listen, today's topic, we're going to be talking about Marvel Rivals because your boy stopped playing that game a month ago. And I kind of want to discuss a little bit of my frustrations, not just with Marvel Rivals, but with the hero shooter genre. So if you're interested in that conversation, stick around. I'm kind of going off the dome, just how I'm feeling, and maybe you can feel or maybe kind of share some of the things that I'm feeling and maybe discuss some down below or wherever you want. Let's get started. So I've never played any hero shooters prior to Marvel Rivals, believe it or not. I briefly touched Overwatch, but not enough to give it its respect and not enough to give it its thing to say, oh yeah, I like the game. Like, no, it was just like briefly cool. No, I don't like it. But something about Marvel Rivals, and it's funny because when I saw the previews and everything, I was like, oh, that's just like another Overwatch, just third person. But honestly, that game feels extremely unique, and I think the devs did an incredible job, like between the characters, Marvel's being, the head honchos and everything with those characters. Like, they are going to have an unlimited amount of characters, and that in itself is incredible. Like, that's so unique because they really have the base of the characters and just gotta, integrate them into whatever class they want. Now, Marvel Rivals, like I said, I think is an incredible game. I think is an incredible addition to the hero shooter genre. I think it's really well done. Skins, battle pass, everything is dope. Like graphics, the game's running on Unreal Engine 5. Servers, like everything is awesome. But this is where things get a little bit frustrating for me. I just want to start off with, just to make it clear, I'm not like, top 500. I ain't the greatest. But I'm very competitive when it comes to gaming and shooters specifically. And while I do love playing with friends, I typically kind of solo queue, and that could be, my own fault and stuff. But that's just how I've always been. I don't have a problem with playing with other people, but I also have a love and respect for people that like to just casually play. I get it. I understand it, right? You got a 9-to-5. Games are just supposed to be a place for you to disconnect. And I respect and I agree, and I'm on board with that. But there is that aspect that people like myself and maybe others, and maybe you in some aspect, like the competitive nature of gaming. Now, for me, what I have found with Marvel Rivals is that the devs and the community seems to be a bit more on the casual side, which again, like I've said, I respect and I'm cool with. But there's got to be a point where you want to win, because what are you playing for? Now, you could just be playing with friends and, but even trying to do challenges and things like that, there is an aspect where you have to play the game, right? But it should never be at the cost of your teammates or yourself, or you just not playing to win at some point or another. Now, ranked competitive is another topic that we'll get into, but I kind of want to hone in on the quick play playlist because that's where I've seen a lot of issues. Now, again, for the 100th time, I understand that some people don't care. And that is a problem that I ran into, where I started in quick play and I played approximately 50 hours before I even jumped into the competitive playlist, because I really wanted to understand the game. I wanted to understand what it is to be DPS, what it is to be a healer, what it is to be a vanguard. Those are things that I think every player, doesn't matter at what level you're in, that you should be familiar with how to play each class. So I took it upon myself, and for the integrity of not only the competitive side, but the people that want to take the game seriously, to put in the time and the work to understand the game. Now, again, like I said, I ain't top 500. I ain't the greatest, but mechanically, skill, IQ, and all these different things, these are just things that we've all kind of developed as we've played multiple different shooters. This distinction is not distinct to Marvel Rivals or hero shooters, but I do believe that in the hero shooter genre, where every play, every character and decisions all are one. All really can dictate whether you win or lose is extremely important, because as a team and as a team composition, you must play together to win. One person cannot save the team. Everybody has to do their responsibility. They have to do their job. And that's one thing that I notice a lot of people don't care or understand, or even want to try to understand. And that to me was one of the most frustrating things with Marvel Rivals. In quick play, while I do understand that a lot of people want to go in there and test different characters, I think that's perfectly fine. Something that I personally do is I like to just go into the practice range and just practice, like try to understand. I watch videos, I try to understand. Now I get that a lot of people don't have time for that, or they're not that deep into the game. I get it. Again, we all have different levels of caring. But for me specifically, I always felt like, let me watch these videos, let me go in there and just kind of practice, just kind of get familiar with the movement, with the abilities, with the ults and everything, and how to kind of incorporate what I learned, and then go into quick play and just kind of mess around and play, right? So you got to multiply that by how many people probably think that way or do that versus the people that don't. They just kind of jump in there and this is the first time they're playing, which is completely fine. But one of the biggest things with the game is people's inability to flex. And you might be asking, what is flex? So flex is having the ability to understand what's going on in game and how you can contribute to what the team needs. So if you are a tank main and you're balling out, but you're seeing the DPSs are kind of struggling, or maybe the healers, right? There's different things to look at. And maybe even though you're a tank main, you can also DPS too. Maybe the DPS aren't playing too well, or maybe they aren't playing, good team comp or counters. You can communicate that as a team, or you can sometimes say, hey, do you mind switching? Hey, I'll go DPS, you can go tank, whatever the case may be, or even the healers, right? But that's something that has to be done and people have to be aware of. But again, in quick play, a lot of people don't care, or they aren't aware, which is completely fine. But that's one of the things that kind of started to get to me. And one of the reasons I stopped playing was because whether you win or lose, it's really at the hands of your teammates. Now, it could be on you too. Like, you could just be having a horrible game. Like, you could just be dookie and just playing really bad, which you got to take accountability for. But there's this thing too, where I've seen where like people think they get MVP or SVP and they think they're like not the problem. And that's like, that doesn't always tell the story. Just the same way the scoreboard doesn't always tell the story, right? So that's something that I noticed, something that I really just kind of got frustrated with, man, because like I would try to do my best to do what the team needs rather than being selfish and just sticking to one character and just, being a one-trick pony. And that is something that the hero shooter struggles with. Now, the competitive side of the game, that plays, it happens in quick play, but you're trying to talk on the mic, and people are toxic, they're disrespectful, they don't care, they cuss you out, they say all sorts of stuff. Now, let's not get it twisted. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been gaming since the early 2000s, right? I was in those Call of Duty lobbies, Halo lobbies, where it used to be crazy. So the thick skin, I got all that. But there's a point where there's trolling and there's throwing and there's just this disrespect that goes way beyond like in-game stuff. You know what I mean? And that right there, it's just like, brother, like I'm trying to do what we got to do as a team. What are you contributing? You might think you don't, what you're doing is not a problem, but you are the problem. And that's where accountability comes into place. Now you're probably this far into the video, 9 minutes, 30 minutes in, 9 minutes and 30 seconds. I mean, you're probably like, bruh, like this is what I'm talking about. Like you taking it to, it's not that, man. I love gaming. I love playing with people. I love meeting. I love interacting. I love trying to strategize and, change the team comps to win. And what do we got to do? Listen, sometimes you just going to get ran over. Like, it's just what it is, right? But sometimes you can see during these matches the changes that we could have done, maybe the communication, maybe the flexing that we could have done to win that match. And in competitive, I just noticed that the way the rank system is, it's just not good. And let's not talk about the fact that EOMM is a thing, right? Engagement, like that's how a lot of this, not skill based, not this and that. It's really just engagement. Like the fact that there's people on here that have been able to figure out the fact that you can go on a 2-3 win streak or lose streak, get off for a couple days, come back, and they'll give you dubs so you can stay gaming. Like that's a problem that I think the game shouldn't have, but that's what keeps people coming back. That's what keeps people feeling good, right? It gives you that dopamine, and that's why a lot of people are kind of like, staying around. And I've fallen into that trap where like, we kind of go on a losing streak and then we will go on a winning streak, and you're like, oh nah, right? Or you on that one last match where you're like, all right, I'm gonna get off this, and you're like, nah, actually we just lost, I can't leave with a L, right? So these are just things that kind of started to get to me, and that's kind of basically why I stopped playing, because again, a lot of the game is at the mercy of your teammates, and everybody has to work together. The team comms, the communication, flexing, switching characters, countering. And I get that a lot of people just want to jump on, play Spider-Man and get off. They don't care. And I get it, I respect it, but I think that it's fair enough for people who want to play seriously to ask of their teammates to take it seriously, or I guess not. And in comp, I noticed that it was a 50-50 for me. I don't know about you guys, but for me, it was like 50-50. Like I would always come on the mic positive, like, all right, guys, and let's talk about who we're going to ban and who we're going to play. And hey, hey, I can play this character or that character. If you guys need to hop off or jump on, let me know. Like, and you come across people like that, and it's dope. Or some people that say, no, I think we're good, we just got to make these adjustments. Great. And that to me is a beautiful thing. So when the game, the roles, the jobs, and everything, the team comp is beautiful, oh, the game is impeccable. And even some matches, I'm sure you guys experience it, where some of these matches are so close, you might lose a match and you're like, listen, boys, we did everything we could. That shit was a great match. It was close. We lost. Or you win it, right? Like, yo, how did we come back from that, right? There's a lot of matches sometimes where it just seems like it's done, and then something clicks, and then something changes, and then y'all start winning and y'all win the match. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that, because I feel like there's a lot of people that probably have been in my shoes. Maybe you're not playing the game, or maybe you are playing the game, but that's kind of basically why I kind of stepped away. I love the game. I think it's great. I wish nothing but the best, but the hero shooter genre for me just ain't it. There's just too many factors that are in place that can really sour your experience, where if you're playing a regular arena shooter, anything like Destiny 2, Splitgate, the finals, Call of Duty, it's really on you, right? It's really on your aim, on your understanding of the game. Not, hey bro, I need to heal, or hey man, I need blocking, or hey man, we got to set this up, or hey man, counter this. And it's just so many things that just can go wrong, and it's at the hands of others, rather than where regular shooters is really just on you. And yeah, sometimes teammates and stuff, but for the most part, the responsibilities are essentially kind of equal across the board. Whereas hero shooters, man, everything is so dynamic and unpredictable, and you just really, again, at the mercy of your teammates and how the game plays out. So that's all. I think the game is great. They're going to continue to do great. They're going to keep adding characters. I wish them nothing but success, man. It is a dope game, just unfortunately not for me. So that's all I got to say about that. Who knows, maybe I'll jump on it in the future. I won't say never, but it's definitely not something that I think about or I've thought about since I've stopped playing, because it's just a hero shooter like another hero shooter, and it's just suffers from what that genre suffers. Not to say that arena shooters and other shooters, right, don't have their own distinct problems, but I think they're a lot more controllable, a lot more of things that you can do on your end to kind of prevent a lot of the, you know, unexpected, just out of your control type of thing. So that's all I got to say. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I love you, and I'll see you later. Peace.